Our next guest is Boulder, and he's rolling around like a boulder a little bit. That's not how he acquired that name, but it seems pretty fitting. He'll just jump up and then just roll right down onto the floor. And he's probably the youngest dog that we have on the floor right now. He's about 5 to 7 months old, and he is a bundle of energy. And like most dogs his age, making their way between puppyhood and adolescent dog, he has a lot of things to work on. Things that you would have to work on if you got a puppy from a breeder, So it's not just that he's a shelter dog. He needs to work on his house training, obviously. He needs to work on some impulse control, right? But he has a lot of other really great qualities. He's easy to walk. He walks pretty nicely on his leash. He's very friendly, obviously. He's not afraid to be in a new place. He's never been in this room before. He's never met the video services crew. He doesn't seem to care. He's jumping right into Sean's lap, and I don't know that he's met you before either, has he? He's very social, and he is, again, treat motivated, which is going to make those trainings and things like that a little bit easier. And he does seem to, from my experience, pick up on things pretty quickly. But definitely, making sure that he's getting all of the training that he needs so that he can be a good canine citizen.
So his behavior assessment says that he's jumpy and he's very excitable, which, keeping paws on the ground is a desirable behavior for most owners. So what's the best way to train that?
So especially when you're standing, I noticed when I was taking his picture, I'm standing in his kennel and he's jumping up. And that's what a lot of dogs do when they greet people. They like to jump up. And the general recommendation is, it's hard to do in this setting, obviously, on the show, but is to turn your back to them and ignore them. You're not going to talk to them. You're not going to touch them in any way, not make any eye contact, because, I guess a good analogy is like parenting, right? Sometimes negative attention is good for kids, and they'll act out because they want your attention. And so even if you're, telling them to get off or pushing them off even, not just petting them, but if you're pushing them away, then they're getting some sort of reinforcement for that behavior. But obviously, if you're leaning in and petting them and rubbing them, they're like, oh, all the good things happen. So then they're definitely getting reinforced. So kind of ignoring the behavior can make it go away. And I definitely noticed when I was taking his picture, it can be time consuming, but he was definitely starting to get it. And at the end of, the 15 minutes that I was standing in his kennel, he was sitting pretty nicely for me. He wasn't jumping up as much. And because he can sit, really working on that to making that sit a solid thing. And then just teaching him the say please protocol, which basically means that he has to sit when he greets somebody. He has to sit when you give him his food. He has to sit when he gets his leash on, so that can kind of help him learn that all good things come to him when he's doing his nice, calm, quiet behavior, so that he wants to continue to do that, and kind of helps with that impulse control. And that's something that we recommend to everybody, whether it's a young dog like this or an older dog like Hudson or Huxley, when we're doing our adoption interview. So just something that's pretty common that he has to work on, but it's usually a pretty easy fix with some consistency. If you are interested in working on all of those good basics to make Boulder a good canine citizen, you can schedule your appointment to meet him by going to visitfcac.as.me.